Okay. Call to order the meeting of the Rockport Select Board for Monday, August 18, 2025. We're here in the Parker Room, lower level of the Opera House. It's just about 6 p.m. First item on the agenda is amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? Next is the town manager's report and update.
I'll try to be quick. I assume everyone here is aware or should be aware that the letters for valuation of properties relating to the 2025 revaluation have already gone out. The last hearings were to be completed or are to be completed today and or tomorrow. So that process is rounding the corner and around the bend, I suppose, and nearing completion at the end of this month. We would expect that the tax bills, assuming everything goes according to plan, should be out in early September. And that would put everyone on pace for the customary October 15th due date. So everything is moving according to plan on that end of things. I will say that in terms of the response, because that's really the every day I'm sort of checking in with the assessor, and though the assessor's department is not one who's doing the hearings, KRT is, we're also tracking how many of those hearings or slots are being filled, and that's somewhat of a gauge to say how many people are asking questions, how many people are concerned, how many. So again, you don't know what the content of the hearing is, but you know how many people. Yeah, and a number of slots were left open. So I think there were many who did not have questions with what they received for a value. I can't say our neighbors around us, some of the other communities, had that same response when they received letters for their revaluations. I think some other towns have had a much harder time. But I would also remind this board, as the one who supported an effort to try to work on some of these valuations for over the last 5 years. And there have been numerous attempts, a couple of different attempts to try to equalize, rather than rip the Band-Aid all at once, which is what a number of these communities are doing, and it's painful. It's a very painful process. I want to give Kerry a lot of credit. He works very hard at this. It doesn't mean everyone's always happy with the results of the valuation, but he works quite hard to try to strive for fairness. And in a process like the one that you're going through, and as we're all going through as residents, that's a very difficult balance to strike. But he works incredibly hard on behalf of the taxpayers. Certainly he was at the last meeting, and I think did a great job. As I was watching from afar. So anyway, so that's sort of the biggest issue certainly ongoing right now. We have a number of road construction projects that are finishing. The paving on Main Street, just want to talk briefly about that. The top coat has been completed. However, they will need to return to finish driveways, some of the shouldering of the road, so that way there's not these dips on the edges of the road. That will happen as that road cools. So there will be a number of weeks, couple weeks, 3 weeks, until that asphalt has cooled enough so you can actually work on top of that and not damage what you just placed. So that's a very good step forward. Obviously, it's a very busy road. That's a huge commuter road for residents who are coming to and from town. The other thing I would just add to that, and it was mentioned before the meeting, Main Street is a road that we had reclaimed a year ago. So effectively, we have to place, after that road has been dug up, we had to pave 2 inches of pavement on top of that reclaimed, dug up section, and then come back and pave again another 2 inches as a top coat to stabilize that road and so it can last the 10 years. But we were talking, there was mention of, the fact that some maintenance had been deferred over a period of time. that's a $200,000 item that was deferred, and because the road had gone so long in between when it was last paved, and it had deteriorated to such a place that over the course of 2 years, you had to pave it twice. And so that's a direct $200,000 impact to the taxpayers that deferred maintenance can have. We're going to have a smaller stretch of road, Meadow Street, basically the section from just above the Rockport Diner almost to the South Street intersection that will get a similar approach. But these are, when we go so long, and particularly these busy roads, you have to stay on it. And unfortunately, we're playing catch up, but we'll do our best, and the results, I think, will be good in the end.
And those of us who have participated in the budget process understand how tempting it is to cut out a couple $100,000 out of the paving budget because the budget's looking big and you just want to try to cut, and paving is the single biggest line item really in our budget. And but then we end up just postponing and increasing the cost. It isn't even just postponing the cost, it's that we end up having to rebuild roads and do them twice as much.
That's right.
And that's just, it's just one of those things that you have to consider, whether you postpone it for future taxpayers to pay double what current taxpayers would have paid. So it's, it's just those trade-offs that we all have to make, or that this town has to make as we go through the budget process.
Absolutely. And so there's ditching, there's all these issues, and some of that came up at the last meeting about tree cutting, and unfortunately, some of these deferred maintenance projects, they can have an outsized impact because of it had been so long, So anyway, I wanted to mention that as a pretty significant. The rest of the town's paving will occur, I expect, probably 3 weeks from now or so. We received a bid from Roundy's Paving, which is a firm we'd never worked with, but did a great deal of research, and they've worked with a number of communities in central Maine, and received a cost that was about almost $30 less than what we had budgeted, which will allow us to get
On a
$30.
unit, but on a unit value.
On a unit value, yes,
Okay.
per ton.
Big savings.
So we budget $115 per
We could buy a
ton.
pizza.
They buy, yeah, right. Yeah. Even a large maybe, extra toppings. But yeah,
But
so
on
it's
paving.
$30 per ton. Thank you, which should allow us to
Which is like a
make some room.
30%, I mean, it's a big.
Oh, at least, yeah,
Yeah.
more than that, yeah.
It's a big
Is
savings.
it 100 and something?
115 was the original price, and
So 30
yeah.
plus would be
Yeah.
20 something percent.
Yeah, 20-something percent. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're
But
in a.
that's a good
That's
saving.
great.
That's it. Sometimes good news can be hard to come by, and when we get these things, we want to champion them. So we had 5 bids, and they were the lowest bid, but thank goodness we had great reports, and we
That's
feel
awesome.
good about them.
Good
So
reviews from
yeah.
other towns that have done it.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. So, in fact, one of the other paving companies, a firm that actually did the Main Street project, but has worked with us, taxpayers in town, and they said, you have to take that one. We love, we love the fact that you want to work local, but this is the best thing for us here. So, you can't argue with that, and, we appreciate everyone's business, so. Number of different projects that are going on. I'm going to try to save most of this for next time, but we have some changes in the works. That internally, we've had a lot of personnel and all kinds of different things internally over the last month. So it's been a good time to hunker down and do some policy work. But really appreciative of what we've got. And if we have anybody out there who is interested in joining the police force, we do have an opening. We'd love to have someone apply. We'd love to talk to them and fill that vacancy. So that's the only vacancy we have right now in staff. So
And I loved seeing the housing update that we have got 40 workforce housing units have been added in Rockport. And then you mentioned some other new projects that are in the works.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
then-
I had a question about that, John. I was
Sure.
trying to make the math work here.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think the bullets are the 40.
The bullets aren't the 40, okay.
Is that right, John?
no, yeah, no.
It
And
says-
it-
40 units
So-
plus these.
So, and it's, Orion's math was a little funny on this one, I think. So what he was trying to get at is that over the course of time, you'll have 58 units. There won't be 40 online presently. There's a sort of a rolling average of a series of projects that have either begun, have been applied, have been permitted for over a period of time, but it doesn't, yeah, the math doesn't math.
Well,
15 and 7 and 2.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't get you to 40 or
because,
58.
because it says these 40 units consist of the following.
Yeah.
And that comes up to
Maybe there's
28,
some others, but
right?
anyway.
Yeah.
Well, then you've
Or
got,
something like 28, 29.
right, and then you have the 10 more units that are set for permitting next year. So it's,
Oh, he said, so include the following.
include the following, that's
Not
some
consist
of,
of.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, but even, it's not, yeah.
Well, it's good news.
It's good news, we
Yeah.
need housing, we need
need
place,
housing.
room for people to live and work.
And sort of related
and
to
play.
that, I see that McCog is coming to Rockport to do a housing
Yep.
workshop, so that's September 10th. Our next meeting is September 8th, so this will be a Wednesday night. And I assume that'll end up being on the town website?
Well, we
Could
can
we
put
put
it
it up
on
there?
there, yeah, absolutely.
Because it'll be in the Parker Room here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're, yeah, and they'll be digging into the LE 1829 a little bit as well, which is
Which you talked
the
about.
big change that somewhat works off that LD 2003 that some of you are familiar with a couple years ago, that thankfully the work that was done at that point really set us ahead. And then, of course, we have the comp plan. So thank goodness we had not, before LD 2003, we hadn't just completed a comp plan. It was sort of perfect timing
Yeah.
to sort of to build into some of the thinking and the work that the Comprehensive Plan Committee and Orion have been doing over the last few years. So it's, we're not flat-footed like some other communities would be on this, which I feel very good about.
That's good. Thank you to Orion and our planning board.
Absolutely. You're doing great work.
Okay. I think the only other thing I thought, oh, the bridge. So I know there are folks interested in what the progress on, and the dates of the bridge, and it looks like we've been pushed back. So we won't see actual construction until 2027, is that?
I think construction would occur during 2027.
Okay,
Mind you, one of the first meetings I took when I was hired in 2021 is that the bridge would be starting next year.
yeah,
So
it's always next.
this has been, you're right, this can has been kicked sufficiently. I think there's certainly, Maine DOT is serious about this. This project is in their work plan, their 3-year work plan. I do believe there are funds and they are going to pursue this. They need to do something with that bridge. But it has
If that
languished.
sidewalk sinks anymore, I mean, now you're on the sidewalk and the curb's up here.
It's an Evel Knievel jump, I think, at this point. Yeah. So,
Okay. So anyway, for residents concerned about that, we're still working with them, the discussions are going well, but it is also, the project is, next summer will not be interrupted because of the bridge.
no, and I think before we're at that point where we're talking about what, I think out of the last VPI meeting or Bridge Advisory meeting, there was, I think that generated some concern, a lot of, well, what does this mean about my road or my home or,
Or my business.
right. Part of the reason, the way DOT establishes this process is to provide time and ample opportunity to prepare. What I worry about is a little bit of the boy who cried wolf scenario. The bridge is coming, and then all of a sudden it never does. So we have to stay vigilant about it, and
Yeah.
yet, until I have something that's firmer that I can bring back to any of you or the VPI group can bring back, it's somewhat in the future. The one thing I would say though is that the impact on traffic is very real. High Street is one that would be impacted if there's an extended closure, for example, Main Street, obviously. And that also then has ripple effects. The intersection of Main Street, for example, with Route 1 is one that is a very dangerous. We had an accident there, I think, not too long ago.
Yeah, all that traffic.
Yes. And if for those of us who work right there, many times, particularly in the summer months, we're going across the bridge and we're gonna go across either at the light or maybe try to get across at the intersection of Pascal Ave. That's not an option anymore. So we're gonna turn to Camden and go down to the stop sign and it's just, yeah. So there's some thinking that I think that has to go into that and sort of the broader effects on the residents and the entire community, so.
And will there be things we need to know ahead of time for budgeting? I mean, are we expected to
Yeah.
pay any of,
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that, right, so there are, right now, obviously, the VPI group is working to determine that sort of a list of needs and a list of impacts, what will be part of the bridge project that Maine DOT will fund, what are the items outside of that project that would be what Maine DOT would consider to be superfluous or unnecessary or not part of their scope. Some of that can be sidewalks, some of it can be paint, some can be, sort of ornamental. One item that has drawn attention from Maine DOT's side of things, for those who obviously are familiar, there's a sewer line that runs at sort of a bit of an odd angle into the pump station at the end of the bridge. They're requesting that we remove that. There are more conversations that need to go into that, but yikes. And it's not something like you can't,
you can't
it's
just
simply,
say for a couple days,
Yeah.
maybe go somewhere else?
hey, just everyone, no.
Porta potties in the harbor.
Right, right, yeah. So working out those details, we've had engineers involved and to talk with them. There was a good meeting about a week ago. It needs to go up the ladder at Maine DOT. I think we'll get a better result at the end, but
But these
But-
are things that might take this kind of time to
Exactly.
sort out and be ready.
if we were to bury the electricity or some of the utility lines, that would be potentially a cost that the town would have to bear, because it's not something that's currently part of that. So these are all issues that are not necessarily requests or, solid part of the project that are just going to be passed on to the voters, that not our taxpayers. That's not the case. But it's still in that phase of what is the scope of this project, and again, when we know more, it'll come back here for certain.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the state still, if I understood right, still interested in our bigger picture, and they're still,
And finding grant money for it.
Yeah.
they're still tied in and supporting?
That's a really good question, actually, because we haven't heard how our application, so to back up, so the VPI task force and working with a consulting firm create a plan, just to remind everyone else who aren't familiar, that effectively looks at the stretch of road from the intersection with Route 1 and Pascal Avenue, along Pascal Ave, through across the bridge, up Central Street, and then up Union, ending at Grafham's. And that was their area, and then secondarily, they also looked at the need or potential of a walking path from the schools into the village along West Street. And that, the VPI group worked very hard on that effort, and the results of that, while there were, I think, 9 recommendations from the firm that was hired, the task force came forward and back to the select board and really recommended, took 2 off the list and said, we support these, I think 7, if I remember correctly. Those 7 then were moved forward, and Maine DOT is very excited about those and this entire project sort of as one whole. And they are supporting a joint application through the Congressional Directed Spending program that our senators and our congressional delegation participate in Congress. They used to be called earmarks, now they call them CDS. But what that effectively does is Maine DOT is saying, we think this project is worthy of congressional funding, federal funding. They're putting this is one of their few projects that they're pushing forward jointly with us.
Yeah.
We don't know where that stands right now. Everything in Washington is, I don't even know, where do we begin that? But I think just by virtue of the fact that Maine DOT are so happy with the effort that was put together, that won't go away, even if this year's funding application doesn't move ahead. I think it will continue to be part of their package.
Because
moving forward.
they've signed on, at least theoretically, that they think we're worthy.
Yeah.
So that's a good vote.
Absolutely.
That's a good vote in our
Well,
favor.
and I think it speaks to where some of these other projects go, like the harbor strategic plan, right? What our ability to put plans together that have community buy-in and allow us to talk with those who are funding agencies, federal level, state level, whomever, and say, we already think this is a good idea. Our residents have checked in on this, they like this, they think this is the right idea. We've already sort of worked through these issues. For those who are familiar with Wiscasset, for years and years, the town of Wiscasset and DOT would fight over what the right approach is to Route 1. Part of the issue is just that interplay of local versus state. And how do you, by working those plans out ahead of time, people are a lot more excited about trying to find a way to fix the problem and be a part of the solution. So, it doesn't mean it's there.
No, but
but it's a very good step forward.
Process you
So,
have to
It's
follow.
in our favor.
yeah.
Great. Anything else for John? All righty. Next is the consent agenda. We have meeting minutes for July 28, 2025. That was a regular meeting. And July 29, 2025, that was an executive session. I guess not an organizational
To
meeting.
break these up because.
Oh,
I was
you
here
were
the
not.
I was here the 28th, but Michael was not.
Yep, I think we
He was here
do.
the 29th, but I was not.
Yeah. Should we
So-
just vote on approval of the meeting minutes for July 28, 2025?
So I'll make a motion to approve the July 28, 2025 meeting minutes
Great.
as presented.
Second. Kim, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay,
I abstain.
that's a 4-0. And then we have the July 29, 2025 executive session. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes, which are really just that it started and ended?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
John, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that's 4-0 as well. Great. Thank you. All right, now, our first action item, act on committee applications. And these are both for the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Force. First, we have Jan, and we approve the mission statement of the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Force at our last meeting. And now we have two applicants for those two of the positions. First is Jan Rosenbaum. Jan, do you want to come up and? Tell us a little bit about why you want to be on the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Force.
Because it's a good plan.
Great.
And a lot of the things that we deal with on the planning board, I've already been pretty familiar with the issues. And so this just seemed like a good place to jump. I've been working with Charlton Ames on a proposal for the budget committee that involved tying the budget to the comprehensive plan. So this just seems like a really natural place to be. So
That's
I'd
great.
be
I
very pleased to
appreciate
do
you
this.
stepping up, and I know you have a lot of experience with the town on a lot of levels, so it's helpful to have that experience and background. Anybody have any questions for Jan?
Appreciate
The only question, I have like two questions. One
Yeah.
is, I've not seen the approved mission statement, so I don't know exactly what it is. I
What you're signing
volunteered
up for?
And you still
Trust,
willing to.
trust us, trust us.
And the other thing is,
We'll get that to you.
I'm going to hope that it's not just Jeff and me, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I can't remember the number that we set.
Nine.
Up to
Oh.
9.
No more than,
Yeah, no, that-
I know of at least one other person that
Okay.
wants to be on it.
At what point do you think you're going to have agreed on? A group
We
that
need to
could
get the
start
word
working?
out that we want people to
Okay.
sign up. But
Okay.
yeah, let's keep that in mind if you know folks
Yeah.
who are interested in these.
Okay,
Let's get a good group, because it's really essential.
yes, we think so, I think
Yeah.
so.
No, all the work was put into the plan, and this is how we actually implement it and make it
Yes.
work for the town. Yeah,
Yeah, I think to your question, Jan, when would we start meeting?
Yeah,
I think once we sort of have I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 6 members minimum.
yeah, somewhere over a quorum.
Yeah.
You know,
anyway.
where we've got
Yeah.
a
Okay,
critical mass.
okay.
And we're halfway there, I think. to
Yeah, if we have
6.
the three.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I know of at least one that's very qualified
All
that
right.
wants to.
Keep
I'm
us
surprised
informed.
he wasn't already in the applications.
Okay.
Okay. Well, and anybody watching, please, if this
Sign
is something you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to us to ask questions, or just, you can get an application online and submit it.
It's a very simple form.
Yeah.
Anything
Great.
else?
No?
So thank you
Jan.
for coming in.
Yes,
That's really- I think we'll just, is it okay if we just vote on both at the same time, or,
I think so.
okay?
I don't know.
Maybe not. I'm
All right,
Jeff
we have
Leclaire,
Jeff Leclaire.
um, planning board member, also chair as of this past year. The last comprehensive plan was, I think, 2004, so 20 years went by. So in reviewing the 2024 comprehensive plan, it was illustrative to us, and to me especially, that a lot of the things that were in that plan, which was a good plan, to Jan's point, 20 years ago, never really got implemented either. So I think that's why I was interested in this, because I think it's something, you know, without that implementation, it's just a book on a shelf.
Yep.
And we on the planning board refer to it because it's our guiding principle that's supposed to tell us how the town has voted that they want the town to be.
Right.
But if there's no sort of, if it's applicant by applicant that we're steering the town in that direction, then that's not really much of a planning for the town's future. So I'm excited about that. How can we put it out there? How can we codify it into the land use ordinance
Yep.
periodically to encourage the type of, whether it's growth or conservation or whatever it is, at the town level that we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
part.
Wonderful. Any questions for Jeff?
No, I'm very excited to have Jan and
Yeah,
Jeff
both of you.
both.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yep.
for,
So I
Stepping
move
up.
to approve 2 committee applications for the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Force for a term ending in June of 2028.
Second.
any discussion?
Can we extend the term?
I was thinking 2028, I'm like, wow,
3 years from the first meeting?
there you go.
Oh, that could be forever, that.
All those in favor? Great, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
And Jeff and Jen, I'm the liaison, so if you want, you know, just give me a shout whenever you want to sit down and start chatting.
Great,
And recruit.
okay.
Yeah, figure out who to recruit.
Next, we have acting on appointment of
Town officials.
town officials. And this is something, it's just sort of in the weeds of our charter, and I think as John, you know, as the introduction suggests, it's really pro forma. This isn't like an evaluation of, is this person doing a good job? Should we re-up them? Because they, you know, we're not evaluating anyone, we just have to say,
Have to declare, right?
declare that we're
Yeah.
appointing
Okay.
them
That's right.
per the terms of the charter. Any other opportunity, if you have any concerns with performance, that's a separate discussion. And so, do we have a motion to approve these appointments?
So moved.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Michael?
Quick question in
Yeah.
discussion. What is a local health officer?
Good question. So this is largely this position, it can extend pretty broadly, as you might expect. It's a little, you know, a little fuzzy. But largely, local health officers are most often tapped in municipalities when there's issues of unsafe conditions in a home, or you know, for example, we had an issue a couple years ago where the board had to consider whether or not a property should have been condemned effectively. There is a code enforcement role, but a local health officer, whether or not that is actually safe for habitation, it's a bit of a different, it's not a code question per se, it's more of a, is this livable? Is this a livable, you know, place? There are very oddly restrictive rules about that position in terms of how it was created in state statute. But Andrew and before him Scott served in that role, because often there's a lot of overlap for those two positions. So
Yeah.
Okay.
thankfully, it's something you don't usually have to use. That's
Yeah.
the other piece. So
Yeah, I didn't even know we had one, so. All those in favor? Okay, great. All right. I guess that's our last action item, is act on fiscal year '26 goals for town manager and select board. As the summary here indicates, and we just approved the minutes from our July 29th executive session. And at that executive session, we discussed with John his town manager goals that he set out for us. And there was some back and forth and understanding and explanation of those. And I'll just read those, and I think we can sort of talk more about those, but then I think also, how maybe additional goals we have, or, what our year looks like. So the first town manager goal is a budget process overhaul. And we've talked about this. We'll have, in this case, it'd be a benefits ad hoc committee that would include all stakeholders, staff, unions, select board, budget committee reps, to really look, this is something that came out of the budget session, really, this last spring, where we realized that, the salary and benefits are a huge portion of our budget, and we ought to just look at that and see how we compare with other towns, see what's available out there that could improve that from a budgetary standpoint. Second item is capital planning in October. There's a key part of the budget itself that's presented in March is the capital planning, capital expenses. And the idea here is to get that discussion going earlier in October, understand what's sort of the town has to invest in from a capital perspective. Then we have really a budget forecast. It's like a pre-budget budget that would take this capital planning and sort of understand how that will affect the budget that will then be worked on. And then the budget document itself, which would include department head involvement, goals and metrics that would be used to evaluate performance of the various departments. Are our taxpayers getting value for the money that we're all paying to support this town? Second would be comp plan implementation with task force formation. We were two sixths of the way towards that. We have a mission statement, and we have two wonderful additions to that committee. So that task force. So that's on its way. Rockland, we finalized the wastewater agreement with Camden in June, and now we need to get a wastewater agreement with Rockland, and that's in the works. Next is the building assessment project, and that's been ongoing. We're waiting, I understand, for information on the final assessment for the Opera House, and then that'll really feed back into that capital planning that we just spoke about.
that's right.
Then we'll have stream crossings. That's been an ongoing issue, both from horrific storm damage and just part of running a town. Goose River Bridge replacement repair, which we just talked about under the town manager's report, but that'll be something that the town manager will have to stay on top of, and all of us stay engaged in. Harbor strategic plan implementation. On July 29th, there was a public meeting where the sort of final plan was presented for the harbor strategic plan, but the key word here is implementation, and that will obviously require, getting some money. So we need grants, but there was a very good public reception of that implementation plan. So that's a good first step, and that's part of John's goals for this next year, is to keep working on that and take that to the next level. Also, professional development. That's something that we've talked about with John, mostly just to let him know it's okay to take some time off from the town office to go get smarter about being a town manager. Not that he's
Lot
not a great
needed
town
there.
manager, but
Get smart,
Right.
Tom.
Great show.
broaden knowledge, yeah, that was a good, broaden knowledge base, meet, talk to other town managers. There's a lot of good ideas out there, a lot of towns, we're not the only ones struggling with a lot of the issues that we do struggle with. EMS evaluation, so we started a new ambulance service, and that started really April 1, so we're still in the early stages of that, and I know there's a general interest and desire to get some information on that. How's it going? How are we doing from a revenue standpoint of the costs, the revenue, how's the service out there? Is our ambulance being used? Are people pleased with it? So that, right now, the first update we'll get is in October. That's sort of a 6-month check-in. We'll hear from John about how that's going, who we're talking to out there to maybe look for some contracts to expand the base. And then Rockport Common, we had the groundbreaking in July for the new park. And that's a partnership with the Lesher Family Foundation, and they've been extraordinarily generous, but it's going to require town manager time and engagement. We should have a construction contract at our next meeting, and that's, it's lovely to have that, but it will take John's time to oversee that and keep it moving with support. So that's sort of the goals that John presented to us, and I guess I just went through for myself and had some thoughts on things. Some of it comes out of the budget process, so it's not really just mine, but I really want this to be collaborative with all of us. So I think for the select board, number one, we support the town manager goals. Those are something we want to see happen, and we will play whatever role is appropriate for us in achieving those goals. Some other items that came out of the budget process, we had an extraordinarily engaged budget committee this year, which was really helpful. We got a lot of good ideas were talked about. There was frustration because I think as a lot of people realize, you can't just change, you see a budget in March, you see some items that bother you, but you can't change it for that budget year probably. I mean, you could just cut an item, but it's more stepping back and thinking, is this the most efficient way to get this done for the town, to do it this way? And so I think there was general agreement among us and the budget committee members that some of these things we need a longer look at. So let's not just forget it because we weren't able to adjust the budget to accommodate it, but let's take those and build them into our goals moving forward. So in those categories, I think we would evaluate a part-time town engineering, review wastewater O&M agreement, ways that we are a little handicapped in how we work because we don't have that professional expertise in-house. So we end up hiring a lot of that outside. And a lot of people would understand that sometimes that's more expensive because you're paying for another company's profit and overhead rather than bringing it in-house. Plus, it allows you to be more nimble. You can grab opportunities when they come and not wait for somebody else's schedule before they can let you move forward. I know we've had trouble with getting our paving projects done in the time frame we've wanted to because we haven't had that kind of expertise. So that's, that remains to be sort of formed up, but the idea is, I think we've talked before, we recognize that this could be really an efficiency and cost-saving mechanism for the town if we had an in-house engineering. The other is to work with the town manager to evaluate the efficiency in existing town staff before hiring for new positions and to make sure that essential needs are being met. Especially improved communications and community outreach. And I think there has been, we've seen that in the budget process, a concern that we're not able to really communicate effectively with our town people, our residents about why we're doing what we're doing, what's in the budget, why this matters, why we're handling it this way. And we don't have anybody who has those skills really. And that's something, we want to look at the current positions we have and how we can really operate most efficiently and effectively. And while the employees are really with the town manager, it's phrased here, just we would work with the town manager on those.
Denise,
Yeah.
I'm a little confused on this one. You started out talking about an internal staff assessment of some kind to make sure everybody's,
Well,
and then you might move to communication in the same goal, so I'm,
yeah, so really, it's sort of like, are we getting the best bang for our buck with our existing town staff? And are we meeting the needs of our residents who really, I think, would like more communication, would like to know better? I mean, we've heard from the Budget Committee concerns that we're not reaching out enough to inform our residents about how we're spending their money, what our,
so those sound like two different goals.
well,
Maybe I'm confused.
Well, I think it just depends on how you, I mean, we have a number of positions over at the town's office.
Right.
And we just want to make sure that, to me, that's a need we have. But I'm not sure we necessarily need to go hire, completely bring in a brand-new position. I mean, it might have a new job description, but maybe that can be worked
So is there,
within.
so are you saying, is there an opportunity to expand roles? I
Yeah,
guess would be
that's a good
the,
way to put it, yeah.
so expand, before you go and hire, is there opportunity in someone's existing work to expand someone's role? I think is what I'm hearing you say.
And that's more of a case in point, that the communication is something we can clearly see.
We would really like to look for
And
that
if we could find a way to do
interest
it
and experience and, yeah.
by evaluating the efficiency and productivity of everything, maybe we can get it
Find
happening
ways, working through John, because
without buying another
his
body.
employees. Yeah,
Right.
right. Yeah,
Well,
I think that's a good way to.
And it's
yeah.
probably a career development opportunity for someone too, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, to take on an additional task or assignment. I mean, and maybe it doesn't work out that way, but I do think it's in our best to look at that opportunity first. If we see there's a need for a position, we look internally first to say, does someone have bandwidth in their current role to be able to take on something additional?
Yep,
Okay, so, but then there was a communication aspect to this
well,
with the
that's a
town.
particular, that's a specific
example.
example of where it would be, I think, beneficial to the town to look for whether there is someone in the town office where that could be, their role could be expanded to
Okay.
include.
So I guess, the communication, I guess that's not part of it. Okay,
Yeah.
I just, because that meant something totally different to me when you moved into
Yeah,
communication.
yeah.
So,
That's
I
just
mean, I
something
think we
I've
are-
noticed that we're not great at.
I mean, with Rockport Resource now, and I think we've kind of already started down a path of better communication with the town.
We have the vehicle. It's not, maybe it could be more effective with
Yeah.
someone doing it who has maybe more background and experience in putting together a
And the
communication
website.
piece like that.
To me, the website is a huge opportunity for
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Okay, so.
And that's an
Huge
example
with
where we're not
communication.
always on top
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah. And somebody might find that very exciting to
Yeah.
Maybe,
keep on top of, yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think it's, and I love the idea of, we have great staff. So, and sometimes people reach a point in their job where they're a little bored with what they're doing and they're looking for ways to expand and,
Well, there are probably a
more.
lot of skills. I find it in my job too, and we recently did some skills assessment where there's probably a lot of skills people have that we don't know because they don't need to use them in their day-to-day work.
right.
So if you ask people or you put it out to people, hey, we're gonna have this opportunity, you'd be surprised. Someone might be a web designer in their spare time, or they might, you just don't know because they don't have to use the skill every day, but they might have that as a hobby, they might have that as a skill where they would want to take on, maybe it's a task force, maybe it's something, but, that they'd wanna take on something additional or new and exciting.
Yeah. Oh, now it's gonna get mundane, but mowing costs.
Mowing, yes, mowing.
What a transition. So.
I'd like
that-
to do more mowing.
John's gonna be mowing on Saturdays.
Oh, that'd
John
be
wants to
great.
expand
I would
his
love
job.
that.
That came up during the budget session.
Yes.
We spend a
Yes,
tremendous amount of money.
tremendous amount on mowing.
And I think we need to sort of evaluate the pros and cons of bringing it in-house or continuing to use an outside contractor.
Yep,
I understand our
agree.
current contract will be up for bid next year, so the timing is good to start thinking about what direction we want to go in on that. Next is another one that came out of the budget discussions, the cemetery lot cost evaluation and resident versus non-resident. I understand that's moving along pretty well, and maybe we'll
Yeah.
have something to look at.
Yeah, this fall.
Okay,
I think this fall.
great. This is the columbarium donation evaluation, is sort of the way I've phrased it. We have a reserve item for a columbarium. It's a little complicated, and I think it's just something we need to understand. We've got this money set aside for the columbarium. It sort of relates to what we're doing at the cemeteries, and the columbarium idea came up when we thought the Seaview Cemetery was sort of maxed out. And so then we would build a columbarium, and we could make a lot of money by doing that, and
I
that
think that
may
hasn't
not be.
turned out that way.
Yeah,
right.
that may not be the case.
I think we're gonna have to make a decision, right? I mean, at some point,
Yeah,
we've been talking about a columbarium for a very long time. And I think what we thought we could build or get for the money, it doesn't turn out to be that lucrative. I hate to say that about a columbarium, but,
yeah.
so I think maybe we have to decide. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's good that it's on the list of things to consider to determine. I know those funds were earmarked for that. I don't know how that works if you
Right, do
decide
we
not
just-
to do it, but
Right.
is there another cemetery expansion project that could benefit from those funds if a columbarium isn't gonna be what we pursue?
Yeah, and so hopefully, I don't know if Liz, hopefully we can get some more information on that and
Yeah.
make an evaluation. We talked about this, evaluate use of online tools and drop boxes to reduce town clerk staff time. I'm assuming Liz, she's so on top of things in terms of the technology that's available, but that is we just want to try to take the pressure off the town clerk staff time and
Yeah.
potentially mean that we don't need to hire some additional help for
Right.
that group.
Absolutely.
This last one, evaluate road acceptance policy. I just want to stay ahead of the game on that. One of the reasons, Rockport has more road miles than I think almost any other town in the area. And that directly translates to snowplow expenses and paving
Paving.
expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So the more, and we have,
Yes.
in the past, we have accepted roads from subdivisions that are not, that have 2-acre lots.
And they
So
weren't
there's-
built. The
and
roads
the
weren't
roads
built
weren't corrected.
appropriately,
Yeah.
so we end up having to rebuild them.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree.
So we just want to look at that road acceptance policy and be ahead of it, so we're not faced with a developer in front of us who relied on our road acceptance policy, and we're like, yeah, we're changing our minds on how we're going to do that. It's much easier to do that in the abstract, to make good policy.
Yep.
And this isn't something that necessarily came up in the budget process, but it's been an idea that we've been discussing, which is develop, and this came out of Jan Rosenbaum mentioned that he's talked to Charlton Ames, and one idea would be to develop a program that encourages staff to find cost savings and efficiencies.
Yep.
And potentially have some sort of a certificate program for winning ideas, where we can celebrate employees who are thinking of things that can help our town save
Can you
money.
do that?
Can you do that?
Can you award them a certificate for coming up with a good idea?
Yeah, can you do that? I mean,
Non-union, probably, but it does sort of bring to mind a question of how do you set a policy for this sort of thing, and you'd like one, because you'd want, who judges the merits of who gets.
There's no
one.
money involved, right?
Right, but
It's
if you
just
were to
gonna
do
be-
that, like, that's what it really comes into, oh, it's $500 to the best idea that saves $50,000, right? How do you do that? You know,
Yeah, I
is
don't
there
want to get into
inducement
money
to it?
for it. I want to,
Yeah.
and maybe there's no incentive then, but I think our employees take pride in what they do.
They do.
Absolutely.
They
And
do.
I think just to say, you know what, there's a little something extra we'd love to hear
well,
from
you
you.
can have
It's
a traveling
okay.
trophy.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could.
Trophy.
That was
There you go.
that was a topic of discussion on the budget committee as well. You know, the people doing the work often can tell you ways we shouldn't be doing it, right? And ways to save time. And I used an example of, if someone uses a weed whacker and it takes them 20 minutes every time to start it, and they say, we should probably get a new weed whacker, we should use a different type or whatever, the people that are doing the job could probably tell you what the pain points are and how we could do it better. And I think we should encourage that. And, I'd love to see some type of incentive program. That becomes very difficult, especially union, non-union, what have you, but
Could-
recognition, trophy, something, I think would be great.
Could it be something as simple as, for any suggestion that's implemented, a certificate of appreciation or something? you know.
I use the example, so when I worked at MBNA, we had a program called the Masterpiece Program. And that's exactly what it was, is you submitted ideas, you had this little plaque, you got these gold stickers, and everyone hung it up in their cube, and we're like, oh wow, look at the number of ideas you had. And then in order to get promoted, you had to have an idea that was implemented. I'm not saying we need to do that, but I'm saying that people took a lot of pride in that, and there was an entire committee. You submitted it, the committee read it, they determined if they were going to implement it. If not, they said, sorry, great idea, but sorry, we're not implementing it. But it was a big deal to get an idea implemented. You got your gold sticker.
And it makes you think, doesn't it, on a daily basis?
Right,
Like,
how could we do something better?
what can I do better?
Yeah,
Yeah. Or
so
sometimes
it's definitely
even-
something to consider. I
Yeah,
think.
and some of these
Yeah.
obviously are going to need a little bit more
Of
meat
course.
before they actually, but I think they're good things to be thinking about.
Yeah, on the budget, Denise,
Yeah.
you guys have probably heard me say this too many times by now, but I'm really interested in much more long-range forecasting and planning. I think in the absence of that, like looking 3-5 years out at various scenarios, if you don't do that, then you start to see things like, people wanting this year, let's just have a 0% increase across the board. And you haven't really looked at what the long-term impacts
Right,
of
what
something
will
like
that
that are.
mean?
Right.
So you get into very short-sighted thinking without it.
It's a great point, it
Yeah.
really is.
So I really want to emphasize that. I also would like to have us keep an eye on the wastewater issue, the strategic planning. So I'd love to see, maybe thinking about getting a task force in place on that in the next year. I think that would be, so we don't drop that ball with Camden. We're
Knowing
prepared.
that we have a short-term
Right.
effectiveness.
And we've got a
short-term
2-year
agreement.
clock and it's ticking right now,
Yeah.
so let's not lose sight of that. So those are my
Okay, good.
2 friendly amendments, if you will.
Yep,
Good.
no, that's great. I have, these are just thoughts, and forming an Opera House Foundation, we talked about this during the
We
budget process,
really
because we are gonna,
need
we're gonna
that.
get bad news on this building
We are
assessment,
gonna
I'm
get-
afraid.
We need it.
Don't you think?
I
don't
do
know.
think, well, I mean, let's face it, the
Force it.
building
Yeah,
is
we don't know.
just, the building is just so old.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna get back into the
It's
building.
gonna be ripe for repairs, I mean, regardless. We need a Friends of the Opera House committee. I mean, we do.
Yep.
Somebody, so when they're dancing upstairs, we don't have to worry
Right,
about
it's
it.
not gonna- they're not gonna fall
Yeah.
through, yeah. I mean, so much has been done to preserve this, and it's such a beautiful facility, and,
Yeah.
I want it to be around forever, but it's costly to maintain, and it's only going to get more expensive, and I think
Yep.
we've gotta figure out, we have some wonderful people in this community that would love
To support.
to support this, and we would welcome that.
I think that's right, and we want to get ahead of it before we end up in a situation where
Yes.
we're in a budget committee meeting, a budgeting session, and we've got, this is what the building assessment says we got to spend on it.
Right.
And we're like, how do
We
we
don't
justify
have the money, right?
that money?
Yeah.
So just because everything is old, becomes new again.
Yeah.
So I won't tell why, because anyway, last night around midnight, I was in the Camden Herald archives, and I found a garden club committee sets town hall as goal heading. And this is in March of 1972.
Okay.
The town established a committee of several members, including the deputy treasurer and the select board chair and all these people, to look at and working with the garden club to effectively save this building. And of course, there was another effort in the 90s, 20 years later, it needed another refresh. Now we're 30 years later, and we're the ones at the till here of trying to figure things out. I just thought it was interesting about how these things if you read through this, it's some of the quotes are dated, but like they could be right here from this meeting, 54 years later.
Right,
So
yeah. I mean, we're lucky
we're
we've
doing
been
it.
able to
To continue.
continue it this long. I mean, you, probably the three of us, I mean, I had Girl Scouts here, I mean, we
Yeah,
all
I
did,
love
you know,
hearing
we're
the stories.
lucky that we've been able to keep it up. And look, I mean, the facility's beautiful. We've
It
done
is.
such a nice job of, even when pipes break and floors get ruined, we've been able to rebuild.
Eliminate,
But that comes with a cost. And when we really are trying to be very mindful of all of the costs, it would be fantastic if we could get some support in that.
Yeah. And a piece of that sort of comes back to the communications. There's so many people in town who don't know the history of the Opera House. I mean,
Right.
they know the building's here, they like the way it looks, they like to go to yoga, they like the fun events that happen. But to understand how much a part of Rockport's history this
Yeah.
Opera House
Absolutely.
is something maybe we can help them understand.
Yeah, agree.
I had one other item, which was just to
Say.
encourage further expansion of the fiber optic service. We're gonna get fiber sort of through a lot of the village now. I
Yeah.
have a nice text from Richard Remsen saying, when is it coming to 90 and Park again?
Yes, yes, when, we're ready.
So we'll definitely want to keep an eye on that and
Yeah.
work with Axiom for opportunities.
Good.
Anything else? That should keep you busy. Just come back and let us know how it's
Yes,
going.
yeah, give us an
I'll
update.
see you guys at March. Am I?
So,
I thought it was for us
Our-
too.
Well, it is
It
us.
is, right.
It is us, and
The
we'll
ones
have
you
to.
The ones you just read through were select board goals.
They're select board goals, but, you know, some of them have to do
Okay.
with working with the town manager.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, I really was
Yes.
being facetious
Yeah,
about that
I
comment.
know.
Because we'll be back and forth, and John and I will talk about how some of these, you know, we can get them on an agenda and really talk through how we form this up. But, you know, again, and not in the guise of, in August, we want to get it all done now. It's sort
Right.
of our year's working plan now. And so, other thoughts? Do we
Get it
need a
going.
vote on this?
well, it does have a suggested motion in here
Yeah.
because it's an action item.
Yeah.
So, there is.
We could
one for
approve it,
the-
and I'm happy to write up, I mean, I have it sort of written up, if that's helpful. I mean, I took notes from what John suggested and what
Yeah,
else.
so I
do you
guess,
think?
is it as amended? Because we have town manager and select board as presented or amended.
But nothing was really presented.
Nothing, right, so,
Yeah.
And do we post these
We could
goals
just-
on the website in the interest of better communication?
I think we
with the
should.
We
Yeah,
could.
why
I
not?
really think we
Mhm.
should, in the interest of better communication.
This is the most robust, conversation we've had about all of these varied ideas in
Yep.
the time I've been here. So I think it's important that the community understands where the five of you and
Yeah,
the wide, it's not just one issue. You're looking at a lot, really
Right, and
long
I-
list.
I would
When we
like
have
our-
when we have the comp plan task force coming in a year, they're gonna be able to pretty much drive a lot of these goals,
That's
presumably.
right.
That would be
Yeah.
the hope, yeah.
yep,
Yeah, if they're posted, it holds our feet to the fire.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I know our budget committee felt a little frustrated, but I'd like them to see that it did matter. We listened.
Absolutely.
We've now incorporated into our goals for this year, and that's how the process works. We get input and we move forward with it, so. All right, do we have a motion? And I think we can just say just the goals, period. Town manager and select board, we don't
Okay.
say as presented or amended,
Yeah.
just, these are the goals.
I move that,
Oh,
go ahead.
No, go.
I move to approve the fiscal year '26 goals for town manager and select board as presented with amendments.
Ah,
For
perfect.
that too.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
I second.
We
Who said
all
it first?
second.
okay, who wants it?
You can have it.
Kim gets it.
All right,
I'll defer.
any further what a nice guy. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Well, that's exciting.
Yes.
Good work.
All right. Oh, and now we have to adjourn the meeting.
Do you want liaison reports?
Oh, liaison reports, you're right. Where's the agenda? Here we go. All right, yes, we do want liaison reports.
I'll just go because we covered the majority of it, but from a budget committee, so the budget committee's met a couple times now. Appreciate them wanting to dive in early. They will be reaching out, I think, John, to you to try to schedule just some time to walk through. They have some good ideas. A lot of them, I think it's great, are captured here in our goals too. So I think will be a lot of synergies between those two groups. I think the plan is for them to come to the September 8th meeting to give an update. And then they have set their meetings for, I think, the first Tuesday of every month, I think.
That's right.
Yes, yes, so that they are always,
Except Election Day.
yeah, so they're gonna do it on a
November 5th, so they'll
Wednesday.
do Wednesday.
So that way, they have the opportunity to meet, and then we have a select board meeting the following week, so if there's anything that needs to come, we can have that open dialogue and communication that way.
And it wasn't altogether clear, like, because we have other, like the capital implementation plan, capital improvement plan, that'll be a meeting in October. is
Yeah.
that- So there might be a way that some of those meetings can get
Be combined,
merged.
yeah, exactly,
So we'll just keep
so,
working on schedules.
but that's it for me.
Great, thank you.
Conservation Commission has been taking some time off because of conflicts of schedules and all that for the summer. But the Camden Rockport Pathways Committee, they have a number of things going. And one thing, tomorrow, several of us on the committee are going to go explore part of the electric line trail or whatever that is sort of an informal thing that goes to the power line to hopefully connect.
Oh,
you know,
behind like the Ys?
No, more from Park Street and,
Main
Okay.
Street.
yeah, I can't think of the title of it.
Cross.
Okay,
Oh,
Yeah.
Sort of,
You go off by, we're gonna, like Ashwood Waldorf School is kind of where we're gonna park to
Okay.
go walking part of
okay.
it. To explore the possibilities of that, because that's been a project that's been discussed
Oh,
for
yeah,
a
there's a
long
big power
time.
line that runs out the
That's it,
back of that,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And apparently
So you-
some of it gets
You get to
used.
walk and get radiated at
Yeah.
the same time.
You-
just wear your
Two
tin
things at
hat.
once, yeah.
That's right.
You can have a tan, with your clothes on.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Town logoed.
Hard
The
hat.
aluminum foil dispenser will be
Tin
right there.
foil
yeah. So that's happening. That's all I can think of at the moment.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Kim or John, anything?
The meeting's so close to the last meeting that I did mine last
Yeah.
meeting,
Yeah.
but the planning board meets this week, and we're looking at the final application for a major subdivision, which is the Habitat project that was already mentioned about adding the 10 units,
That's great.
so.
Could you clarify for me? I get confused. Which physical location is it?
You know where Guinea Ridge is?
Yep. Yep, yep,
You
yep.
know where Rockport Suites is, right?
So, yes.
So
towards-
it's
yeah,
essentially
between
the
those
lot
two.
right between those, is a flag lot, so it kind of goes back behind the red house there, which belongs to the Hissong's daughter.
Yes.
And they've got a young child, and so it kind of wraps around that house.
The Rockport.
And it sort of butts Rockport Suites on one side and Guinea Ridge on the other.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But
You wouldn't,
narrow,
you wouldn't even know it is a lot back in there.
because I was
quite
driving
frankly.
by, it's like, so it's kind of narrow on the
Yeah,
street
there's
line.
Is there a
you
driveway
can
already?
just see a
It's narrow, but-
driveway there.
Okay,
that-
yes.
It really won't be developed much more than what's
What
pretty
you
much
already
there
have.
as far as access and egress. Doesn't seem to need to. MDOT seemed comfortable with it, and all the traffic, anticipated traffic was considered insignificant in the planning board review, so.
And Harkness Brook is right there, isn't it? Am I in the right spot?
It's Harkness Brook, no, that's
Oh, that's the other one, not further up.
down,
That's the other
down a
hotel.
little bit to
Okay.
the other side of Pascal. You're thinking of the hotel that used to be Schooner Bay?
Schooner Bay.
Yeah.
Which
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
really
yeah,
does
yeah,
look
yeah.
nice.
Great.
Yeah,
Brain
they've
craft.
reopened now. I noticed they've got the real sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't done a tour. I've been tempted to kind of stop in and nose around.
It
but-
looks great,
I
yeah.
thought it was brilliant the way they had their sign there.
Yeah.
The only thing we're
Changed.
keeping is the address or something like that. Like it lets everyone know it's
Yeah.
going to
Yes.
be better.
Really new stuff.
Yeah.
starting over,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Good.
which is
I
great.
thought it was wonderful.
We heard about the Harbor Street plan. That's in great shape. I guess we're going to see a final report on that, John?
Yeah, that's right.
Next meeting?
yeah, they said by the end of the month, the final plan's supposed to be forwarded to the group, to me.
Kind of thought we would have had that from the
Yep.
consultants by now.
Me too. And there is, I think, a hope that there'll be some maybe policy work, recommendations for policy changes or adjustments that I'm hope that the group may come up with through that group's work and through what the proposed design could provide. It's one thing to build it; it's another thing to how do you make it work, and how does what currently works transition to that. So, for example, a lot of the conversations about where do you put floats, where do you put boats, where do you put all of these sort of the conversations that you've brought and others have raised. Are there changes through this proposed plan that could augment policy as it currently sits? So that's the hope that I've put through Bill, and I think once the plan work is completed, hopefully keeping some of these people around to, take this good group we have and squeeze more out of them if we can. That's the hope.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, I'm good.
Let's see, sewer ordinance, task force, amazing group, just meeting every week and have taken a document, I can't remember now how many pages the original sewer ordinance was, but have really streamlined it, focused on what we need to focus on. Some of the goals are to make sure we're able to comply with the Camden wastewater agreement, but also look at ways within our current system that we can find ways for cost savings, really, to try to bring down that user rate to make it more appealing to be on the sewer. So lots of good sort of policy work, but also just cleaning up an ordinance. So that should be ready for us to, we, on our July 28th meeting, we approved just the general notion that that would be on the warrant. So we'll have the ordinance in front of us for the September 8th meeting to put that on the warrant. Let's see, Parks Committee had a work day over in Mary Leah Park the other day and sort of trimmed some things up. And had also, a couple weeks before that, gone and cleaned up the lime kilns. So things are looking good. And Library Committee is meeting this week, so nothing new to report there.
So we're doing the sewer ordinance September 8th?
Yeah, at our September 8th
And we're
meeting.
doing the Budget Committee joint meeting it's September.
They're going to appear, it's not a joint meeting, but the Budget Committee is
They're gonna
coming
come.
to our meeting. and
September
will
In
report.
September.
In September, the September 8th meeting as well.
Okay, I had that as October for some reason.
Yeah, and we will have, we're going to have a joint meeting, I think based on the schedule John sort of outlined, where we'll, capital improvement, I think that was the first item. I brought that whole list with me.
Yeah.
but-
So capital improvement, the request for capital improvement will go out this week, likely. And the original thought was a sort of an initial goal-setting session for, which largely you all already, accomplished, but what does that mean in terms of budget numbers and what is that? And then, but that's pre-capital planning. Then there's a capital planning process that would occur through October. And then sort of that last wave in November is, okay, now that we know the bigger pieces of this puzzle, now what does this look like moving forward as we put together a budget? But all the other process, laying out, moving up the process for the department heads, there's, this is a little bit of like asking the aircraft carrier to sort of jump with a speedboat here, but we're doing it. We're gonna make it happen, and we'll do our best. So,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so again, I think as I mentioned, who knows how the Budget Committee has set some meetings. There are separate meetings that we've anticipated. Now, whether those end up getting merged into one meeting, we'll just see how it goes. We'll stay flexible on that. Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Great.